Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Big D. He's Mini Mini in the next room. He's playing Roblox something, and from what I hear, he just won. And today is Real Talk Sundays, and I want to talk about something that is very. I think it's an important talking point. A lot of people don't mention in the hobby, especially for upcoming and blooming vendors. And what I mean by that is big versus small events through my eyes. I also have to realize that it's not only through my eyes that we are doing these events, but also through my 10-year-old who this is all for. We are building an empire, a legacy that he can hopefully keep carrying on with his kids, his grandkids, and making memories with myself, him, and his mom, Pokemon 7774. Go give her a follow. Um, and is big events versus small events. As many of you know, I'm a Route 91 survivor, October 1st, 2017. Look it up, it's Las Vegas, and the biggest modern mass shooting in American history, and where 58 people didn't make it home, and 22,000 of us were changed forever. So I share that because I have a heightened sense of fight or flight, and I also uh, now have anxiety and PTSD, and I don't do well in big crowds, which is ironic because if you know me, I go to concerts, we do these events now, and prime example, we were at the TCD OC trade show yesterday in Anaheim. By the way, the host, very gracious. I liked how the event was ran. I really believe we wanted to book then and there for the next show, but they're actually next two shows are sold out, but there's a waiting list. And I like how they structured the setup. Depending on the tier is where you were placed in the venue. And I explained a little bit of my story, like, hey, I'm a Route 91 survivor. I don't do well in the middle of the venue. If I could prefer, a wall or preferably right by the door. And she's like, yeah, just put it in the notes and, we can see what we can do to request. We can honor that request. And I was like, really? And she's like, yeah, we get it. That's why we have those there for you guys. And the reason I'm sharing that is what we're talking about is, for real, especially for an up and coming vendor. Like I've, I was lucky enough to stumble across a lot of YouTubers who were on different stages of their journey. They were either full blown mega stars like Deep Pocket Monster, Ian with Ian, Gonzo, Danny Phantom, to name a few, uh, uh, Alpha Investments. Like these guys are like they make a move in the community and the community shifts, that kind of guy. And then I have these smaller vendors, um, uh, Dre the Collector. He's not small by any means, but like as far as their social media reach, Bikini Gadrini, who's on the rise, uh, Jack Packs, like all these people are gaining momentum. But when I found them, they were in the beginning stage. They were when I found them on social media through Rips and Hits, Slim Rips, and Deep Pocket Monster, because they all follow each other. Um, I found them when they were kind of around the stage that me and Mini Me are now, and to see their journey as they've evolved into these movers and shakers in the community is totally crazy cool. And I really like it because it gives me hope. Clover Brothers has always told me 1%. Every day you got to get 1% better than you were the day before. And following their journey is a lot easier for me to follow because they're closer to where I am versus the end goal is to get us to be like Clover and beyond. I want to inspire other people the way Clover has inspired me, the way Eric and his sons have inspired me, the way Slim has inspired me, the way Emo Brown's inspired, the way Pat has inspired. Like all these people have have unknowingly, by putting themselves out there on a big stage, allowed the little guy like me on the small stage to really start to grow and blossom. Sorry, Mini Mini just finished the game. Very quietly, please, and make sure you close the freezer. He needs to rehydrate, so he's getting a popsicle. So this week we're on Real Talk Sunday. We're talking about the size of the stage and how it changes the game. And once again, I got notes because I don't want to be all over the place. And a lot of you guys have found us through the Collecticon viral clip. I want to say it's over 2 million views now, that Clover put up, where uh, they said, just off camera, you hear, oh, Pikachu, Pikachu, and it go crazy. And I do a little speech about my dad on a budget. And it literally changed their lives. Like, it literally has changed their lives. My son sold the card right back to them at like 300 and change. I want to say either 320, 350. Car was at 4.25 or something like that. The funny thing is, I found out almost 6 months later, it didn't even make it to the end of the day. Clover sold it to somebody later on in the day. Versus how a small show like the first show that I call him the Fueco kid, but I'm sure that's not Fuecoco kid and his dad, Pokey Reeker, Pokey, the Pokey Reaper. Hey, did you close the deep freezer? Okay, thank you. Their show, there was literally 4 vendors there, and both shows had different points of view for us. Collecticon was the first time I've ever been to a Collecticon. I was overwhelmed, full blown panic attack on Saturday. Sunday, I was a little more better equipped. I was like, okay, I got this. Um, the the last show we did with the Fuecoco kid and uh, and his dad was more my speed, and both shows had something to add to it. You know, I'm 49, about to be 50, coming up here soon towards the end of the year, and dealing with things the way I do, I I look at it as a 50-year-old, because I'm closer to 50 than I am 49. And I have to realize that I'm just a part of this team, the dynamic duo. Mini Mini is the heart. I'm just the face, and I'm the driver and the bank. And I have fun creating memories with my son. When we have to do a bigger show, like one of the biggest shows we do is the Parkway Plaza show. It's the show with the most vendors. As far as the show with the most people, Slim Rips Emo Trade Nights. Mad shout out, thank you Shane for giving us a chance when we were barely getting our feet wet, and you took a chance on us, and thank you for just giving us the opportunity, brother. Your help has literally changed our lives. Eric, who has helped us out with tables at Rips and Hitch trade night, even when we were setting up outside because there wasn't enough room, but he wanted to give us exposure. Parkway Plaza, Alohan Shack, inviting us to their excuse me, trade nights. Um, Coffee and Cards too. Like everybody who sees us out in public, and it went from me asking everybody to be a part of their show to people reaching out to us and said, "Hey, you want to be a vendor at our show?" Like, it shows progress in the last October will be 1 year since I got into Pokemon with my son the way we have, and we accidentally started vending on trade night number 2 at Rips and Hits. Um, but when you plan for these bigger shows with more traffic, like, you got to think, okay, how many cards, or like, how much show product do I bring? Uh, you know, Now we're looking to get little shelves, loading in, loading out, travel time, how big the crowds are going to be. Like, for crowd is a big thing for me. If you're a new vendor, like, I will tell you, my experience has been, I kind of got thrown in the deep end with the people I met because of the quality of their show and the quality of their product attracts a lot of people. So I kind of had to learn real fast. And there's been shows where it was great people, great publicity, but our booth got no traffic. Like, we really did, and it makes you question, like, did I screw up because I maxed out a few credit cards to get us to where we are today? Like, I had to tell our employee, who is more family and friend than he is an employee now, hey, I gotta let you go after 2 hours. You're more than welcome to hang out. And the funny thing is, he had stuff in our booth. He made more money that day than we did, even after we paid him. And questioning, like, did I make a mistake? Did I jump the gun? And the disappointment of trying to vend when you can't find product at MSRP because you don't have a distro connection. And I understand that other vendors have to make money, and my rule is I don't buy anything at market or above market, because realistically, why pay, let's say when Black Bolt and White Flare came out, they were going for like 135, 150 an ETB, right? That's almost three times the regular price. And I get it. People are making money and they're going off of market prices. It fluctuates. But I just can't afford to do that. And I'm really grateful for our community. Mad shout out to my boy Isaac, Isaiah, Tanya, Andy, uh, my whole squad in the San Gabriel Valley, who all go out to hit machines and stop at random stores that know they might have Pokemon to help me and Mini Mini out. Like right now, and then we went to the show, like I told you yesterday. I want to say there was 100 vendors, maybe 150. I mean, it was a huge room, and they were packed wall to wall. They had like a they talk about when you edit, cut out the right? I'm still new to all this. They kind of had like a carousel system. You walked in, you go up, down, up, down, up, down, and there was three aisles, double sided in the middle, and then the perimeter. Um, you think about all that when you're dealing with planning for a show, whether it's the big show or the little show. And the one thing that that's kind of overwhelming for me is, you suffer from imposter syndrome. Like when you walk around the room, especially with some of the people that we hang out with, every table has slabs. I'm talking, I remember my boy, and I got mad love for this guy. It was the first time I vended on myself, by myself, at Emo Brown's Trade Night, Slim Rips. And my boy was set up next to me, and they were doing a deal, and I thought was for like $61 or something like that. And at the end, when it didn't pan out, I said, "Oh, that's a lot of slabs for like $61 or $610, I think it was." And he goes, "No, bro, that was for 6,100." I was like, "What?" And then he kind of messed with me. He's like, "Oh, yeah, and for the camera guys, we're doing." And I turned around because I was the one next to the wall, and he's like, "I'm just messing with you. We've been best buds ever since." He always comes over and uh, pours positivity into me and Mini Mini. When I was struggling to find Mini Mini at SPC, he made it happen. Helped us organize a trade. Um, I'm just really blessed with a lot of people, you know. But I will be the first to tell you, if you're getting new into the vending, kind of like what Gonzo says, collect what you like, sell what you like, because you're not going to be the only one. But also be flexible, be willing to pivot. And like, I like vintage. I just like the way vintage looks. But for me personally, at least the vintage that I can currently afford for our booth is not what people are looking for. So Fueco, I'm gonna call him Fueco. I know I'm saying it wrong, but Fueco Kid told me, "Hey boss, why don't we get rid of the vintage that you have and invest in things of what people are looking for?" So I tasked him and Mini Mini to the little vintage that we have left now, because they took that off and ran with it, to trade, to either get a still product in or to trade for the stuff that people are asking us for. And it's been a big pivot in our business. You have to be willing to kind of go with where the market's taking you. And one of the one of the coolest things, especially, it doesn't matter the size of the show, big or small, is people that have seen us from that first show at Rips and Hits, when we had no idea. Like, we literally had Mini Mini's case that my boy Vet Nations sold us, and we had a couple of my binders laid out, and he we were literally having people look through the case individually, and now we have two display cases. We actually have three. Unfortunately, I haven't had the best luck with the cases. uh, they it is what it is. One's working like a rock star, the other one's falling apart, and one is a little small, but I like it because it allows us to have two cases on a 6 foot table. So we have the big one and the little one, and then we have room for the binders. And now we're looking for a little shelf set up behind us so we can put the sealed product, so we're not taking table space. Like, that's the logistics of planning for an event. And when you plan for a bigger event, the prices go up because they're banking on the foot traffic. And you have choices between a 6 foot table, a 9 foot table, 10 foot table. Do you want more than one table? Do you want a whole booth? Like, these are all things that you have to consider. And I talked to Mini Mini about it. Like, look, this is the business side of it. Yes, it's fun to trade, and yes, it's fun to be in the action. Yes, it's fun to how to be here. but you have to realize that there's a cost associated with it. And he's gotten savvier and savvier. Yesterday's trade show, we didn't set up because they were sold out. But the cool thing about it was that we had our little cart and we had some sealed product, and Mini Mini was making boss moves. Thank you to everybody that was patient with my son and allowed him to work on his skills and hone in on being the best type of vendor he can be and being a man of integrity. We had an instance where this guy was going to give us the money back, not realizing that he had given us $100. He was going to give us another 40 on top of it, which was his change. And I said, bro, and Dennis is like, no, sir, you already paid us. And I'm like, yeah, you gave me the 100. That was your change. He goes, oh man, thank you. And that's the type of businessman that me and my son are. That integrity that we're building with our brand. Just like when I did a deal at Parkway Plaza, when I unknowingly traded a high-end card because I literally pulled it, put it in a sleeve, put it in a top loader, and had it in the case. But I didn't. I'm new to the hobby. I didn't realize that you pull a pack fresh card that there might already be damage on there in shipping or packaging. And when it was brought to my attention, I told that guy. I reached out to him like, "Hey, I need to make that right." And he's like, "Are you sure? I should have checked." I said, "Absolutely, buddy." I go, I want to be the type of man that my son is, and that my son thinks I am. Imposter syndrome is real. But if it's on your heart to give it a try, I say try for your local show. And if you feel comfortable, like my plan, and it sounds so silly, is that every time we do a show, all I'm hoping for and I'm grateful is that we break even, meaning we pay for the booth, we cover any cost of any sealed product that we sell, and we cover the cost of if we have the Fueco kid with us. Anything above that is gravy on the plate. We use that for restock, random acts of kindness, and paying off the original buy-in debt that we use to get a lot of the stuff that we have. So, and the coolest thing where I was going with this point, and this is why I have notes because I would have gone on a whole nother tangent, is the people that have seen us from that day one show at Rips and Hits where we accidentally got a table on the inside, and they see us today, they're like, man, it is so crazy to see how far you guys have come from that little case to a couple binders, so now you guys have displays, so product, like, keep going, man. And I can't tell you how many times I've had young kids all the way to full grown adults my age and older say, man, I wish my parents would invest in my dreams the way you're investing in your sons. And I have to say, it's not just me. It's Pokemon 777 She's out there hunting at stores and stuff like that. She's out there supporting me while I support him. It's a team effort. Even though we may no longer be together, when it comes to me and her and Mini Mini, we're all in on feeding his passion. And I have to say, if you're a parent, my best advice to you, if you're new into the hobby, uh, follow some of the creators that inspire you. Monitor who your kids watch on social media because not all the creators are same, and some of them, I they deliver quality information. I'm just not a big fan of how they deliver it in the mind of my 10-year-old son. So, at your own discernment, view each and every piece of content that you guys are digesting because it has an influence on what you buy, what you like, who you follow, who you hang out with. The community is so awesome, but just like any community, there's going to be people that you may not want to hang out with because they don't fit with your guide. You know what I mean? So always be open yourself up to the universe to find the things that fit your journey. And the more I do that, it just seems like the more blessings I keep coming in my way. In this last, when Black Bolt and White Flare dropped, I went from having my son crying because we couldn't find anything, and I felt like I failed him as a father, to this last 3 days, we've gotten two White Flare ETBs, a Black Bolt ETB, potentially another uh, Black Bolt ETB from a friend of mine. We got two of the tins. We got a whole bunch of single packs of different sets, all because of our community and the people that are on what I call the unboxing team. And that was because we started at a local level. And just like Clover said, It's all about relationships and every day getting 1% better. Now, you got the mental load of big shows versus small shows. The next thing that I want to talk about is the business side. And this is where I get somewhat, like, even mentioning it, my goosebumps, anxiety kicks in. Is that like big shows versus little shows on the business side? Big risk equals big opportunity. Foot traffic versus cost. You know, the one show we lost at, it wasn't that there wasn't enough foot traffic. It was a steady flow of people. We just, like I said, sometimes it's a loss. Your booth isn't hitting that day. Some of the smaller shows, like that smaller show that we did with the Fueco kid and his dad, we made more at that show than we did at this previous show. And it's just a numbers game. But like my goal is by the end of this year, we want to do at least one major show, like something along the lines of like a Collecticon, a front row, uh, something. And it is there's some anxiety associated with it, but I'm excited because I feel like I want to at least get my foot in the water. But you have to realize that often brand exposure versus making. Oh, hold on, guys. Hey, buddy, what's going on?
Hey, bro, that sound stuff dropped right now.
What? It's in the store?
Yeah, it's in the store, bro. Everybody's already flooded.
Ah, shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it gone?
I don't know, bro. I'm in San Diego, bro.
Okay, I'm gonna hit it. I'm gonna hit it right now. And we're back. Uh, it's funny. You're probably wondering what the heck happened. We got a phone call from our guy Isaiah, and right shortly thereafter by Vet Nation Cards that the Sam's Club drop was happening then and there. Uh, it seemed like every car was on the road that was trying to get there, but literally with people behind us to spare, like 2 or 3, we were able to get. And there's a video we're going to be dropping called Mini Minis State of the Union on scalping, big box drops, and our 2K giveaway announcement. There was a limited 2, we got 2. And just give you a teaser, you might want to watch that video. You guys know I have a rule of 4. First one goes for the vault, which thankfully we do have a prismatic and mini traded for a Pokemon Center prismatic. Second one goes for the stream, vault, mini giveaway, and then his business. He's in the hoopla of everything. We have yet to get one for him to rip. Man, my kid. We were talking about business side. Big shows, big risk, big opportunity, and often brand exposure versus making actual money. You know, I am of the mindset if we are building connections and relationships, then it is well worth the investment of the show. But there also has to be a time and point where you say, okay, are we going to make money on this to continue to stay in this business? Like I've shared before, I maxed out a few credit cards to get us started. I sold 3/4 of my Funko collection to invest. And yeah, we were going through a big life change, separation, and stuff like that. So I didn't want to. I figured, you know what? If this is what he really wants to do, and me and Pokemon 777 are all behind it, then I'm gonna let go of one of my passions. I wasn't as into it. I became very selective about the Funkos that I collect now, and I sold them. I sold them at a loss. Just because I didn't have the time to piece them out, and I didn't know the coin toss. If I would have known the coin toss, I probably would have made more money, but that's okay because it was enough to get us started. You learn fast whether you're a hustler or a hobbyist, and I was born and bred a hustler. The running joke in my family is I could sell snow to an Eskimo, a ketchup popsicle to a woman in a white dress on a hot summer day, and I had to go through some really big life experiences to hone that skill in. And like my dad would always say, don't do the crime if you can't do the time. And what I've been able to do is instill those things into my son without him going through the madness and the bad choices I did to acquire those. And I will tell you very upfront, we are hustlers. And I ain't talking about, we buy product and then sell it for 4 times the price. We foul that market, and if the market is below what we paid for the product, I'll sit on it. Like we have a couple of totes full of stuff that I was able to get at MSRP drops that are selling below MSRP because people just don't want them. And that's okay, because if they don't want them and after an extended period of time, they'll come on the stream and he'll rip it and we'll give away the hits. Give back to the community. Like I said, when I do these shows, whether it's big or small, my goal is to cover the cost of the table, cover the cost of the Fueco kid, and cover the cost of any seal product that we sell. Like if I break even and only make $1 on this, but like I said, watch the video, State of the Union by Mini Mini on scalping, big store drops, and 2K giveaway announcement. Just saying. And my notes talk about, it breaks it down to building a legacy, the mental load of the shows, the business side, which I'm still learning because like I've tried 1,000 different businesses and they've all failed. The only thing I was really good at was a TV service, if you know, you know, and even that kind of petered out. I've always been $1 late, or $1 short, or $1 late to the show. And yeah, I came into the hobby at one of the highest bubbles it's ever been. And when it pops, it pops. And I was talking to Mini Mini about it today because we were at this drop. And I like, look, if we got good juju, we get it. And we got upset because this guy walked out with 18 boxes. Him and his family were going in circles, and I don't know how they beat the system because they were watching everybody. And like, finally got to a point where I told the manager, like, look, this guy's got 14 of them in his cart. Like that's 7 people or 6 people, because he's allowed 2 that could get something. And he's like, bro, there's only so much I can there's only so much I control. Either I'm worried about him or I make sure no one else, grabs anything off the pallet. And I get it, but I'm like, dude, there's a difference between, like, if you double up, okay, great. Maybe if you triple up, okay, cool. But when you got more than 2 or more than 4 or 6 at the max, like, bro, give somebody else a shot in line. It's funny, I'm getting a notification. Hey, did you get the drop? Because there's a group of guys that I kind of hang out with. They're associates, and a few of them I consider friends, and 1 or 2 of them I consider family because they look out for Mini Mini. Like, this isn't, I'm not trying to buy a house with what I sell with Pokemon. I'm just trying to fuel my son's dream of being a content creator, a world championship winning, Pokemon card playing, content traveling the world human being, and spreading kindness. Like, my son's goal, like this is what trips me out. My son's goal is one day to buy a whole Pokemon machine, buy everything. Like, let there be a line and he'd be the first one, and for some weird reason there's a glitch and he can wipe out the whole machine. And he goes, you know what I'm gonna do with that, Dad? I said, what, son? He goes, I'm gonna turn around and give something to everybody in line, and I'm gonna tell them, hey, let's have a ripping party. And I said, well, I gotta record it for content, right? He goes, yeah. And when we were in the car and he was giving his State of the Union about how he felt about the hobby, about scalpers, about everything, like I said, I'm telling you guys, you gotta watch that video. Like, it was one of the proudest moments I've had with my son, and I've had a lot of them, where he's just laying it down. Like, this is the truth, this is the fact, act right, and this is what he's gonna do to put good juju out into the universe. Like, the emotional part of it is, like, at Collecticon, I was very overwhelmed. And I don't know the cost of the tables. I know there's a huge waiting list. They sell out, that people buy ahead, and it's a huge investment. But I also know the amount of traffic, like the risk versus the reward. Like, I had an old mentor of mine used to tell me, he's an old OG. And he was like, back in the day when there was real bank robbers, and he would say, if you came to my house and you told me, hey, we can go hit this store and steal a big screen TV, I'd be like, good luck. And Big Rick in the Sky, if I'm doing your story wrong, I apologize, but this is the way I remember it. He says, but if you come to my house and you tell me you got action at 10 million of unsecured bonds or something where you can untraceable bonds, he said, I'm busting out my ski mask and saying, let's go, who's driving? He would always tell me, it's the one thing that stuck with me, is the juice worth the squeeze? And I know one day you're going to see Unbox 'Em All Dynamic Duel at Collecticon at a huge booth with me and people that have helped us build to the point where we could be at such a high stage. But at some of those conventions, unless you're big in the hobby or the community, you can feel very anonymous and lost. You know, I can be in a room with thousands of people and be the most loneliest person in the room. But I've come to realize that learning to love myself and being with my mini, I'm okay. I'm the most important person in the room to him, and he's the most important person in the room to me. I'm overpaid. At a small local event, it's like family. Like at a small event, you really learn who's there to help support you and who's out to hurt you. Because this is a business. Business is business. There's friendship, and I was telling many about it. There's people we consider associates, there's people that we consider friends, and there's people that we consider family. And which level you are in our life will determine what information we give you. And I'm not talking about lying to you or anything like that, but some things, like my dad always says, keep it close to your chest. You know, keep your friends closer, or keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Because you never know. Like I could tell you, I saw over 10 people in that line that I knew today. I got a call from 2 of them. One of them was in San Diego at Collecticon, and he called me and said, hey bro, the drop is happening, go. I knew 10 people in that line. 10 people that I thought I would consider friends. You know, the thing about a lot of these big shows is that everything's like, wow. But like the Clover Brothers told me, and this is so deep and it hits so resonant right now. It's resonating right now. He said, we didn't always start out like this. Every day we just wanted to get 1% better than we were the day before. And if you go to Collecticon, I think they were the biggest booth. I know they were the most popping booth. They had Steve there. They had different big content creators. There was a line to get up there. And maybe I'm biased because even if we didn't hit that Pikachu, he was the only vendor who gave my son a pack. Don't get me wrong, all the other vendors, they gave us cards. They sold us cards that were well over $1, stickers. We were blessed with everybody in the Dollar Binder Challenge. And I only point out Clover because, you know, they're the top of the food chain. And they are in a position where they don't have to do anything for the community, and they always do. You look at any of their POVs, they're always giving back to the community. That's where I want to be when I'm at the top of my game. I want to inspire people at a big show, but the reality is we're starting at the small show. We're starting at a level where I'm comfortable. If we take a loss, we're going to still be able to recoup and go to the next show. That's the big difference between big shows and small shows, and knowing when you're ready. Because if you go for a big show right out the gate and you have no idea what you're doing, there's a good chance you're going to burn out and lose your beepity beep. Start at a small show, local city, and the people you meet along the way, remember, the people that helped you get to the next level, turn around and help the next person up. The learning curve, at a big show, it's hard to trade or build relationships. People are rushing because there's a line. Boom, boom, boom. And you watch any of Jar Chomp's, Clover, Shane's, any of the people that I talk about, any of their POVs, and there's always like almost like clockwork, you hear them say, "Thank you for waiting." The guy he has the T-shirts, Bulbasaur, I think is his name. Like we met him at Collecticon. The line was literally 20 people deep just to get. And I told him, look, I know I can't afford anything at your table. Can I please take a picture with you with my son? You are like one of his favorites. Took time out, even signed our card for us for our Forever Binder. But it's hard to build relationships or trade because people are rushing because there's so much foot traffic. But The real ones, even if they're only spending 30 seconds to a minute to 2-3 minutes with you, will make you feel like you're the most important person in the room. Those are the people that have turned their hobby into a passion, into a career. The people who are just flipping, they're gonna treat you like fast food. Hey, what do you want? Okay, go. The people that I look up to in the hobby, when I met them, took time, made me feel like they saw me and heard me, and allowed me to tell a bit of my story and shared a bit of their story with me, and even inspired me more. At small shows, people talk, they teach, and they trade more openly. Because if they're like at the show we did with the Fuego kid and his dad, there was really 4 vendors, like 4 legit vendors, 5-ish, because Fuego's kids and his dad weren't really vending; they were kind of they were hosting. And when the customers came in, or well, customers, but people for the show, like they got to spend time with each and every vendor and talk to us. And I even got a message from one of the people I helped out, like, thank you for who you guys are, because it was my son's first show and he's still talking about you guys. To me, that makes me the richest man in the hobby, that I was able to do for somebody else what was done for my son. If I had to choose between what feels more fun or more stressful, they're both fun in their own unique ways, right? But at the same time, sorry, I'm looking at my notes because I don't want to ramble. They're both fun and they're both stressful in their own regards. You have to find your comfortability level and what you're willing to risk for the reward. That would be my advice. A vendor mindset, which is very important, because if you go into this as just a hobbyist, you're gonna learn real fast that for a lot of people, this is a cutthroat business. Like, it really is. Example, that guy who's a YouTuber, he was flaunting it in line. Hey, if you subscribe, I might sell you one of these ETBs. The guy just paid $50 for this set, and he's gonna sell you an ETB for 120. And that's cool. Like, if that's what market is, that's what market is. But save some for everybody else to eat. There was kids in line with their parents, like, they were just waiting for one box. You took 18, bro. Setting up a small event has taught us to build more confidence. I love when people tell us, hey, your booth is getting so much better, so much bigger. Pokemon 7774, I send her pictures every time we set up. She's like, man, you guys are looking so professional. One thing that is more me than mini is learning prices, trades, and random acts of kind moments. It really lights my heart when we're able to bless future generations and first timers and even OGs in the hobby. Like, it was somebody's birthday that I admire, and I know that they collect a certain card, and we were able to bless him with the card. He probably has 15 of them, but hey, I heard that he liked that card, and I gave it to him. You know, just because it was something that I could do. Mini found out somebody liked a certain card, and he says, hey, Dad, is it okay if we give it to her? I'm like, yeah, no problem. Random acts of kindness, they'll change the world. And at both big or small, it doesn't matter the size of the venue or the size of the foot traffic. The main thing is about watching, absorbing, and dreaming and learning and getting 1% better than you were the day before. Me and my son have a routine after any event. I say, what did we do really well? What can we improve on? And what did we do better this time than we did last time? You know, and one of the best things about that is watching my son grow. Like I said, we went to the trade show yesterday in Anaheim after a fun day at Disneyland, and seeing my son will and deal and be confident, and the growth I've seen from him since that first accidental trade night at Rips and Hits where we got inside the venue to who he was yesterday, leaps and bounds. I couldn't be prouder of my son, and my son is not going to have a care in the world in the business world, because he's going to lead with heart. He's going to work hard with hustle, and I guarantee he is changing the world. You know, as a dad, I see the big picture: brand, cost, energy, time, work, travel time, expenses. My son sees the joy in the chase, the people, the cards, helping other people out. And at the same time, his integrity is unmatched. I tell people, I want to be the man that my son thinks I am. And by doing this hobby with him, I'm becoming the best version of myself each and every day. The great thing about it is, you know, we're both learning how to adapt, how to hustle, and how to stay grounded. That's important. Like seeing my son get really upset that this guy had 18 boxes. Yeah, I'm talking about it because it really upset him. He's like, Dad, what about everybody else in line? Like, I get if you get one or two, but like, that is excessive. And he straight called him out like, dude, you were raised wrong. Like, I'm telling you guys, you gotta watch the video, mini State of the Union, and our 2 gay giveaway. You are, like, my son just let it out. Now, sorry, I'm just so distracted. You know, I like what this says because I feel like it kind of, it encompasses everything that we're doing, because I always talk about legacy, right? And for my son and for me more so with my son, I don't think he understands it quite yet, is that we're laying bricks at the local level so we can stand tall when the spotlight hits. Because like Pat says, post your content. It may not be the best content and you may look back in a year and cringe, but post. So I make it a point every day to post at 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. almost like clockwork. And if I can't post at 6 p.m., 6 a.m., like I pre-post and set premieres, I'll post right shortly thereafter. Like, it is important to me to stay consistent because I get better each and every time. And when we go to these events, it's important when I give you my word that we're going to show up, even if I have to work 24 hours between my regular job, travel time, setup, breakdown, and the commitment, and then go right back to work. If I give you my word, it's important that we show up, because it's important that we have integrity. Because I always tell my son, the 2 things once you give away that you can never get back is your time and your word. And if you break either of them, you can never regain them like you once had them. The question I asked is, why are you choosing to show up to both types, the big shows and the little shows? And I put, to grow in both skill and in spirit. You know, you never know. If you win each and every game, do you truly know or truly learn? Like, if there's no one pushing you, if like, I watched the documentary on the Bulls, and I'm a Lakers fan for life. And hearing Jordan, who is arguably one of the greatest, if not the greatest basketball to ever play the game, talk about the wins matter, but the losses matter more. Like, I didn't know how hungry I was to do this vending with my son until we took a loss at our first trade show. Up until then, we were smashing. And like the show before that, we had the best show we had ever had for us. And to take an L and then come back and rebound just as hard, if not harder, that made that victory just so much sweeter because of the loss that we had just endured. So we show up at all levels. If we're given the opportunity, if someone were to call me today and say, hey, can you be at the next Collecticon? I would figure out a way to be there. I just need someone to open the door for me, and we're going to step through with all confidence, whether we fail forward or we shoot out like a rocket and go to the next level. We're going to show up. If I could only go to one type of show a month, what would I choose? Honestly, whatever show asked me. Like, I ask everybody. Like, there's a couple of shows in San Diego I want to get to that have a 60 vendor waiting list. They're locked in with their vendors, and there's a 60 vendor waiting list just on the off chance on show day someone cancels, and they'll call, hey, can you be here in 20 minutes? I'm going to show up, and it's a pretty big show. Someone from Collecticon, front row, any big show says, hey, we heard about you guys. We have a table. Can you be here in an hour? I'm there. The small shows I love because I get to meet the community. I get to shake hands. I get to help people out at a more organic level, because when we get to that big stage, the people that we helped when we were at a 3-person event, we're going to be able to help the next guy who's at that 3-person event because we're at the big show. And I'll be like, hey, bro, I can't go to this show, but I'm going to send you someone solid that what you did for me back 2 years ago, we're going to do for them. You know, I'm really glad with these notes. My final thought of this day is that it's not the size of the show, it's the size of the heart you bring to the table. In a world where you can be anything, be kind. It's priceless, it's free, and I promise you, a random act of kindness will change the world. I'm Big D, he's Mini Mini. He's taking a nap because we've been trying to hit this drop for a couple of days. And together we are Unbox 'em All Dynamic Duo. Pew, 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 pew. Until next time, subscribe, like, share with a friend.